some writing today because what'll happen, I'll get inspired and I'm like, I need to get this stuff out of my head. So I was just typing out some stuff and boom, 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 boom. And I was just thinking about, focus, right? It's one of the things I believe is one of our superpowers, right? I believe we have we'll call them four major superpowers, right? And that is focus, decisions, communication, and imagination, right? Those are the four things that if we master those, we win. We can win in any situation, right? So I was thinking about that. And then it kind of led me into the word intention and being intentional. I was just talking about how my goal, my positive focus, as we close out the year, we got 69 days left in 2023, is to, is to really, really be intentional about everything, right? Y'all remember that's 4 words, right? Everything. And so in that, I'm being intentional literally about everything. And what I've noticed as I was going throughout the day was that when I'm intentional, I'm unstoppable. Think about that. When you're intentional, you're unstoppable. And we're going to lean into exactly what I mean by intentional, right? Because that's one of those words, be intentional, da, 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 da. And you got to be intentional. You have to have intention. You got to lead with intention. But what does that really mean? And what does that look like? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit, right? So intentional, right? The word intentional means done on purpose, deliberate, right? Pretty simple, right? Done on purpose, deliberate, intentional, right? Intentional, done on purpose, deliberate. Well, wait a minute. Where is he going with this? Because the first thing he said was, when I'm intentional, I'm unstoppable. When I focus on being deliberate and doing things on purpose with purpose, I'm unstoppable. So who can be intentional? Any one of us. Who can do something on purpose? Who can be deliberate? Any one of us. So any one of us can become unstoppable. We can make ourselves unstoppable. I'm currently making myself unstoppable, and you can do the same. Literally, when you become intentional, you become unstoppable. We're going to unpack that in a minute. Let me turn my fan on. It's getting a little warm in here. Getting a little warm in here. Need the breeze going. Get a little breeze going a little bit. All right. So when I'm intentional, I'm unstoppable, right? And if you have any questions or comments, throw them in there. I promise I'll jump in there and I'll get to the comments and questions. That's my favorite part, actually, is answering the questions and helping you guys unpack. Yes, done on purpose, deliberate, planned, premeditated. You just got me excited. So think about that, right? And I'm going to give some things for you to consider, and then I want to take some questions. Intentional, right? Done on purpose, deliberate, planned, premeditated. So when I'm intentional, what are some areas, what are some things that if I become intentional, right, about or with these things, they'll make me become unstoppable, right? Is it echoey? Do I need to put these on TikTok or are we good? Somebody give me a yay or nay. We good or do I need to plug these in so y'all can hear me better? Because I want to be intentional. I want y'all to catch this. I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. Because I know there's an echo in here and all that good stuff. All right, here we go. Now we rocking and rolling, right? So done on purpose, deliberate, planned, premeditated. So how can I take my intention? What should I set my intention upon to make myself unstoppable? Unstoppable? That's a strong word. And, right? It's available to us. Becoming unstoppable is available to you and I. How? Through our intention. So the more we become intentional, the more we can become unstoppable. Let's think about it. Stay with me, right? What if you become intentional? What if you become intentional with your thoughts? What do you mean? What if you make a decision that you're only going to think on things that are empowering, that you're going to challenge and reject any thoughts that show up that don't move you from where you are to where you want to be, that don't add value to your life, right? Any thoughts, anything that enters into your mind that tries to keep you small, you're going to reject and replace with a more empowering, powerful thought intentionally, on purpose. You're going to be deliberate about the thoughts that you allow to flow through your mind. Imagine what that would look like. Well, just think about that. How would your day change, right? How would your interactions change? How would your relationships change? How would your relationship with you change if you rejected the negative, goofy thoughts that show up and ruin your day? How many times have you surrendered your day to some goofy, negative thinking? Just think about that, right? But if I decide that I'm going to be intentional with my thoughts, what that means is when, not if, when the goofy thoughts show up, I'm going to, whoa. I'm going to challenge it. I'm going to reject it. Right? What I'm picturing right now is I'm picturing a big husky bouncer at the door, right? Guarding your mind. And when those negative thoughts show up, it's the equivalent of someone coming up and it's a black tie event and they have on sweats. And automatically it's like, whoa. No. Can't party with us tonight. Black tie affair going on. Same concept, right? Same philosophy, right? They can't get past the velvet rope. They're going to show up. But because you're being intentional about your thoughts, you're not going to allow them to come in and take root because they won't come in and tear up the place. Imagine what that would look like. Just stay with me. Just stay with me. If I'm making sense, come on, hit the screen. If I'm making sense, talk back to me a little bit. I'm just talking to a screen. I need some feedback, right? So think about that. And then imagine if you become intentional with your words. Imagine if you speak power to yourself over your life. If you speak with clarity and intention in all of your interactions, if you think before you speak, if you think about the outcomes that you desire, right, in all of your interactions, and you only speak what you know to be true, what moves the needle forward. You don't speak out of negative emotion. You don't speak out of, right? Imagine what that would look like if you were to become intentional with your words. Just think about it. I become intentional with my thoughts. I guard my mind. And so when those negative thoughts show up, I stop them at the door. I challenge them and I turn them away. I reject them and I replace them with a more empowering thought. What about that? And then when I go to speak, right, I'm filtering my words, right, through the outcomes that I desire. What outcome do I want? I want to speak positivity over myself. I don't want to speak doom and gloom over myself. I want to make sure that anything I place after my I am is something that I truly desire to come into my life. Because whatever I place after my I am is going to show up at my doorstep. So what if I became just really intentional, right? Deliberate, done on purpose, premeditated, right? What if I became intentional with my words? If you've ever said something that you regretted and you wanted to take back, but couldn't because it was already out there, think about it, right? I'm sure everyone's experienced that. I sure have. I call it foot and mouth disease. I used to suffer from it too. But now I'm more intentional about my speech. Listen, I'm a husband, I'm a father. I have to be mindful of what I say and how I say it because it matters. It matters what I say and how I say it. Yes, both matter because what I say obviously matters, but how I say it matters just as much. Why? Because sometimes if I say it wrong, even if I was right, the point will be missed. So it's my responsibility to be intentional, right, in my communication. be intentional with my words. So our thoughts and our words. But before I go on, let me see what y'all talking about on here. Can you focus with a lot of noise? Absolutely. Absolutely can block out the noise. Let's see. Yes, speak power to yourself over your life. Only speak what you know to be true. Exactly. What if you use intention to be negative? So let's come back to that. Let's come back to that because that's going to take us. But we need to go there. So don't let me forget that, please. Those of you that are hanging out with me, don't let me forget that. That's a great question. We're going to come back to that for sure. Yes, what I say matters, and how I say it matters just as much. Sometimes I may not even have the right words, but if my intention is to communicate that I care, that I love you, and that I'm disappointed, but I want to see you win, right? I might stumble over my words, but the energy and the thought and the feeling and the intention behind it will help me to make my point. So in being intentional with our words, being intentional with our speech, being intentional with how we communicate matters in such a huge way. Communicate. Didn't I say that was one of our superpowers? Communication? Anyway, stay with me. So we talked about our thoughts and our words. And if you know me at all, you know what I'm about to say next, our actions. We need to be intentional about what we do. Literally everything that we do. And I don't mean walk around being robotic, but what I am saying is we need to set our intention. Pardon me. Just like if you're going somewhere you've never been before, what do? Open up, pick up your phone, go to the Maps app, put the address in, boop, 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 let the phone do its thing, and you follow it. You set your intention to get from where you are to where you want to be. And so when you do that, right, if it says make a right in 2 miles, you're not concerned about the rights that you pass, right, until you get to that 2 miles. You might look at the screen and it might be, you see like, it's 2 miles down. There's like 10 lights. The first 4 lights, you may not even notice. Why? Because you've set your intention. You're locked in, you're focused, and you're following the instructions. You have somewhere to be. So how does that translate to life? When you know who you are, when you have goals, when you have dreams, when you have targets in front of you, it helps you set your focus. It helps you plug that into your GPS and you move in that direction. And anything that is not helping you move from where you are to where you want to be, anything that doesn't have anything to do with that, that's not helping you, you can reject, you can ignore. But see, the problem is we're not intentional about how we move throughout the world. We're just kind of, blowing in the wind. What's going on over here? Oh, what's the latest thing? What's going on this page? And what's this and what's that? And we're just all over the place. And now we're frustrated. But when we become intentional with our actions and how we move, then we monitor ourselves. We set a target for ourselves and we spend our time in pursuit of said target. So when I set my intention on getting to a particular destination, it doesn't matter what roadblocks or detours I encounter along the way. Just like the GPS is going to reroute you, same thing is going to happen. So when you run into test trials and challenges, right, you're actually going to, okay, cool, not a problem. I can maneuver this way. I can slow it down a little bit. I can speed it up a little. I can cut through here. I can go over here. Oh man, don't use Waze. Ways that really get you right. Ways that have you cutting through neighborhoods, going through people's backyard, all that good stuff. But it'll get you from where you are to where you want to be. So we have to set our intention because that's what's going to guide our decisions. That's what's going to guide our actions. That's what's going to help us to move throughout the world. And that's what's going to help us to become unstoppable, because I'm not worried about these roadblocks and these detours along the way, because I set my intention. I have a target in mind. I have somewhere to be and I'm moving toward it. None of that other stuff matters. You don't care. You don't care about the 7 lights that you pass prior to your light, right? Think about that. Oh, you're getting ahead of me. That's on my list. That's on my list. Stay with me. That's on my list. Oh, we getting there. This is I have to start with you, with your relationship with you. That's the first thing that we have to always attack and lean into. because I'll be doing myself and you and everyone you're connected to a disservice if I start with anything outside of yourself first, because that's what people will grab onto. But notice where I started. I started in your mind. Be intentional about your thoughts. Be intentional about your words. Be intentional about your actions, right? Now we're going to get into the other stuff that y'all want to get into, right? Here's something before we do that, because I'm sure that's going to be the thing that consumes us, right? As it should, right? You also need to become intentional about your time and energy. I always talk about budgeting your time and energy. Imagine that. Imagine what your life would look like if you were to become intentional about how you spend your time and energy. How much time and energy do you waste on nonsense, on things that don't even have any place in your life, right? No, I don't like that. That didn't feel right. How much time and energy do you waste on things that aren't helping you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be? I'll say it like that. How much time and energy do you waste on things that aren't moving you from where you are to where you want to be? Our responsibility is to close the gap. Every day, close the gap. What you doing? Closing the gap. I'm closing the gap. I'm here. I want to be here. I'm just closing the gap. How you doing that? I'm thinking thoughts that are helping me to move in that direction. I'm speaking words that are moving me in that direction. I'm taking actions in that direction, right? I'm concentrating my time and energy on things that are going to help me close the gap. Imagine that. Imagine that. How do you stop a person like that? That's why I said when I'm intentional, I'm unstoppable. Because when I'm intentional with my thoughts, words, and actions, and when I'm intentional about how I use my time and energy, I'm unstoppable. I'm an immovable. You can't move me. You can't move me. That's the second half of my favorite scripture. None of these things shall move me. Right? I know there's all this doom and gloom and all of this stuff is going on and you're going to run into all these challenges, but none of these things shall move me. Right? And that's what I'm talking about, because I'm intentional, because I know who I am. And because I know who I am, I'm intentional about my thoughts, my words, my actions. I'm intentional about how I spend my time and energy. If that doesn't prove to you that if that doesn't prove to you that you can become unstoppable, then what will, right? Notice I didn't talk about anything or anybody else. I didn't talk about if the politicians change the policies. I didn't talk about if the white people do this and if the black people do this and if the green people do this and if this happens, if that happens, if the women do this, if the men do this, if the blah, blah, blah. No. If you become intentional with your thoughts, if you become intentional with your words, if you become intentional with your actions, if you become intentional with budgeting your time and your energy, you become unstoppable. There's another word I like to use. I be trying not to cuss too much, but you become unfuckwittable. Right? You think about it. Who could stop you? What could stop you? You literally become unstoppable. Because what can stop a person who's that locked in? Y'all don't understand. So let's get to what y'all want to talk about, right? What my sis, Miss Peaches, brought up, right? She said, we need to be intentional about the people we deal with, right? I use the word associations. We need to be intentional about the people, places, and things that we associate ourselves with. That matters in a huge way. You could be going along, checking all these other boxes, and then you get in a certain environment. And then the environment will start to consume you if you sit in it too long. I don't care who you are, how strong you are, how intentional, unstoppable, unquittable you think you are. If you sit in a particular environment too long, it's going to start to consume you. So that's why you got to get in and get out. You got to get in there, do your thing and get out. Right. And then what you have to do is you have to create some space between you and it. Because if not, it'll consume you. As big, bad, and tough as you are, if you continue to expose yourself to these people, places, and things, they're going to eat you alive. So you have to do it in fits and spurts. You get in and get out. And you have to get in and get out. And you have to maneuver around. Right? So the people that you interact with matter. And then this connected world that we have, the people you follow matter. The little clips, the little podcast clips that you zone in on, that matters. The things, the gossip that you lean into, that matters. That stuff is programming our minds, and it gets us off track. That's why we have to be intentional about these things, right? I don't have time to keep up with the latest gossip. I don't have time to know who's sleeping with who and who did this to who. I don't have time for that. Why? Because I'm being intentional about budgeting my time and energy. And I have things to do, right? I'm locked in, I'm focused, right? I have dreams to fulfill. My dreams are waiting on me. I'm nurturing them every day. I think that's what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow. Our dreams need to be nurtured. And I'm nurturing my dreams every day. I'm intentional about that. I got time to worry about all that nonsense. And does it hurt sometimes? Yes. I spend a lot of time alone. Or I'm blessed to have an amazing, beautiful wife, and I'm blessed to have children and grandchildren. But I don't have a lot of homeboy friend time. I just don't. And that's okay. I've accepted that as a part of my process. That's okay. Do I long for that? Of course. But I have to be mindful of who I'm spending who I'm investing my time and energy into. And if I get around certain people in certain places and it drains me or it changes me, right? We moved, we were living in Charlotte. We moved back to Philly, right? You know, we had these amazing ideas and plans in mind, and we moved back to Philly. And yes, we're going to do this. And there were some really great things about it. But that environment, I didn't like who I had to become in that environment. Right? I wasn't comfortable. And it caused me to, I had to start moving and thinking in a different way. And it began to consume me. And as focused and as strong as and sharp as I am, that environment began to consume me, and it tried to eat me. And every day was a fight just to navigate that environment. I had to get me and my family the hell out of there, because I didn't like who I had to become, right? If you're going places that you have to change who you are, you have to dumb yourself down, or you have to have your head on a swivel and be extra secure, you got to carry a certain type of protection, you got to move a certain way, you got to avoid certain things, you don't go to that gas station because, and what? Or if you have to be around people where you can't allow your light to shine because who you think you are and what's this and what's that and blah, 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 all that nonsense why would I want to spend time in around those type of people or in those places? Why would I want to do those things? I love myself too much to do that. Bringing it back to intention. We have to be intentional with our associations, and we have to value ourselves enough to be okay with missing out on some things. Yeah, it does look fun, but I don't want to hang out in that place with those people. Yeah, they having a ball, but that's not even my type of fun, right? We have to have those conversations with ourselves. We can't lose focus, because if we lose focus, we lost focus. If we lose focus, we lost focus. So we have to stay on it. Our associations matter, right? And one of the things that I want to express is this, right? There's no, I'm going to just kind of do this and this not going to impact me because, no. I've tried it. Trust me. I've tried to be super sharp and polished and have things together here and just ignore these particular things, or not be disciplined over here. Every discipline affects every other discipline. What the hell does that mean? That means if you're a slacker over here, you're a slacker. We don't get to pick and choose if we really want to grow and become the best version of ourselves. Now, if that's not your desire, then I'm probably not your person, because I'm going to challenge you on all levels. Okay, you crushing it at work. How's your relationship? Okay, relationship hitting. How you and the kids doing? Okay, that's doing well. How you taking care of yourself? Stand up. Let me see you. What that weight looking like? What's that blood pressure looking like? What's going on? Right? How's your mental and emotional health? How you feeling? Like how you really feeling? Right? What's going on? Like we're gonna challenge everything. I don't care if you getting money. You get money and your relationship is in the trash. Are you really getting money? Right? Your relationship is thriving. You got all this stuff going on, but you're miserable because you ain't got no money in the bank. We got to fix that. We got to address that. We don't get to hide behind these things, right? And the beautiful thing is, once we identify it, then we get to work toward it. We get to be intentional about our thoughts, words, actions, right? And investing of our time and energy in fixing, repairing, working on, right? Leveling up these particular areas. So it's fine, right? It's fine if it's jacked up today. It's not fine if it's jacked up, 3 months from now. And if you work with me, it's not fine if it's not fine 2 weeks from now. Because my gift is shrinking time for people. Gentleman asked me in the beginning, I hope he's still on here, what kind of coach am I? I help people shrink time. I help people that have tried everything else. And all of a sudden, boom, 2 conversations and everything is, all this stuff has happened. Their life has been transformed totally. I'm the specialist that they call in when all else fails. I'm that person. You've seen that person in the movies. You've seen that person. I'm that person. I'm the man. We done tried this, man. We done spoke to, we done. Okay, let's talk through it. Boom, 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 boom. Try this, boom, boom, boom. Get back to me. Yo, man, remember what you had? Man, you know how many times I've been told I've been going to therapy for 4 years and one conversation and boom. Exactly. So that's who I am. And I'm fine with that. But it comes at a cost. So I have to be intentional about reminding myself who I am and whose I am and the mission that I'm on and to continually walk in my purpose, because every time I get off track, God has to smack me upside my head and get me back on track. Every time I'm not focused and I'm not being intentional about showing up. I didn't think about it. Someone's life is being changed right now. Someone is reconsidering something. Someone is thinking about where they need to adjust their intention right now. I didn't feel like doing this tonight. My alarm goes off at 4:44 and I've been up and busy and I've been peopling. Those of you that people, I've been peopling all day. Look at that, 4:44. It says no dad bodies allowed. 4:44, my alarm goes off and I get up and I have my prayer time and then I go to the gym and get after it. And then I have a busy day of peopling, right? And then I still have to be present for my wife. I have to be present for my children. If my granddaughter FaceTime me right now, I'm peacing out on y'all because I need to be present for them. And this is something, but God said, stand up and speak. I deposited some things in you and you holding on to it. Get up and do what you need to do. You know who I called you to be. And I'm over here trying to hide. Forgot who I was. I had set my intention on the wrong things. But the beautiful thing is you can get it back in that quick, that easy. They say, yeah, your life can change 6 months. Your life can change in an instant. This is just a matter of a decision. Decide you're going to be intentional with your thoughts, words, actions, time, and energy. Everything changes at that point because those are catch-alls. They're going to cover everything else. I ain't got time for that. I don't have the energy for that. I'm focused here. I'm not thinking about that nonsense, right? You can heal yourself from anxiety and depression by being intentional about your thoughts. Let that one simmer for a minute. Exactly. Peopling. I people. And I don't get to pick and choose who I people with. Thankfully, I did an amazing job choosing my wife. So, that's a relief. My children are my children. They are perfectly imperfect. Love them like I do. But then at all of the other interactions, it can be taxing. But I have to be obedient because I'm focused. I'm being intentional. with my identity. Ooh, we have to be intentional with our identity. What? You have to be intentional with or about your identity. When you know who you are, you have to be intentional about showing up in all your glory, every room you walk in. Y'all know my new motto, playing small is canceled. Yes, thank you for that. We have to be intentional with our identity. What does that even mean? That's something we each need to explore. Who am I? What's my purpose? What's my goal? Why am I here? What am I called to do? What's the problem that's unique to me? What am I called to solve or fix? And then we need to show up and walk in that every day. We need to be intentional with our identity. Well, how the heck do you do that? That sounds like some deep woo-woo stuff. No, it isn't. Be intentional with your thoughts, words, actions, time, and energy. And there it is. What questions do you have? You be all in my journal. That's what I'm talking. Good. My old pastor used to say, it's one God, one voice. So that's why that kind of stuff happens. We're in rhythm. So if you're still on here, the person who shared about your cholesterol and being overweight, listen, you can change that right now. You could make a decision right now to totally transform that situation. We got 69 days left in the year. You can show up to the New Year's Eve bash looking and feeling amazing if you so choose to. What did I say at the beginning? When I'm intentional, I'm unstoppable. There's nothing stopping you from changing that situation. Nothing at all. There's plenty for you to do. And I'm not talking about stuffing your face with a bunch of medication. There are choices that you can make every day. A lot of those things come from our mental and emotional health, and our body is reacting and responding to those things. So you can start cleaning that up. You can start making some better choices at the table. The company you keep, the things you allow in. You'd be surprised at how much that can heal. You'd be surprised at how better you feel when you think about it. You ever just separate from some people and all of a sudden, you just feel better? And then you get around some other people and all of a sudden your energy, that's real. So we have to be intentional about those things. You can change it right now. If you don't believe me, book a call. Let's have a conversation. I give you a prescription that'll transform your life immediately. That's show up on purpose with purpose. That's right. We got to be intentional. I'm unstoppable. It's when I'm not intentional and I allow anything to happen, when I allow goofy negative thoughts to infiltrate because I'm not being intentional with monitoring my thoughts. That's when I start to slip. When I'm not intentional with how I communicate, right? That's when I start to mess up. That's when I say something goofy that I can't take back. Or that's when I speak death over myself, right? That's when I say, I know, but that's when I'm speaking negative and I'm putting negative, goofy energy out into the atmosphere because I'm not being intentional about my words. Do I need to keep going? Right? When I'm not intentional about the actions I take, when I'm scrolling mindlessly instead of reading, studying, or doing the thing that I want to do, right? When I'm allowing my time to be ripped away from me by things that aren't helping me to close the gap, of course I'm wide open. Anything can come in and get me off track. But when I'm intentional with my thoughts, when I'm intentional with my words, when I'm intentional with my actions, when I'm intentional with how I budget my time and energy, I'll become unstoppable.